So you've been quoted hundreds for a professional balloon arch and you want to make it yourself, and this is how. It's so super simple. You're going to need a reel of curling ribbon, a cocktail skewer, some balloons in different colours. I'm using white sand and pearl white in 2 different sizes, and an electric balloon pump if you can. I'm double stuffing my balloons. You really don't have to, it's not essential, but it does make a nicer colour and they do last longer. So I'm putting my darker colour over the cocktail skewer, and I do find it's a lot easier to stretch it down to be able to pull the lighter pearl white balloon over the top. And I'm just going to show you the colour. I'm going to do that with all of my balloons, and the exact same thing with my smaller 5-inch balloons. So I'm using 12-inch and 5-inch balloons here, and this is me doing all of the balloons in these as well. And then you're going to want to inflate. So if you're using a hand pump, this is a lot easier. Electric pumps can be a little bit difficult. Just make sure they're the same size. And then this is how we're tying. So you're crossing over, and then you're tying in the middle. Try and get them as tight as possible because they do look a lot more neat when they are tied really tight. This does take a bit of getting used to, but I promise by the end you'll be a professional. So you should have your 2 little tails like that. I'm just showing you an easier way. If you are struggling to tie double stuffed balloons, just tie the inside neck. It's a lot easier to do it that way. It's not essential to tie both necks. I just do because I'm used to it. So I'm inflating my smaller balloons the exact same way. I'm using a hand pump for this because double stuffed balloons tend not to be blown up by an electric pump. So I'm just making sure they're the same size. And if you've noticed me squishing them down, the reason for that is in the balloon industry we do not like pear-shaped balloons, so I'm just squishing it down to make it a little bit more round. Then I'm taking my curling ribbon. I'm taking the end of my curling ribbon and tying it onto the smaller balloons first. I always taper my balloon arches, so I go smaller to bigger to smaller. And then you want to take the necks of both balloons, squish them together and do a figure of 8 around all of the balloons. Give it a little pull as well just to make sure they're nice and secure in there. And then move on to your bigger balloons. So I go small, like I said, I go a little bit bigger and then bigger again. And every time you want to add in a bunch of 2, push the necks into the old balloons and keep tying around with your curling ribbon. You can use as many balloons as you like for this. I'm just doing an example of how easy this process is. Cut off the end of your curling ribbon and just tie it onto one of the necks of the balloons. That's the securest way to do this. You can cut off the excess curling ribbon and the neck of the balloon will just snap back into place like that. So what I'm doing now is taking my excess small 5-inch balloons with some sticky glue dots from Amazon, and I'm sticking that into some of the little gaps there. I do a bunch of 2 first and then a single balloon to make it look like there's 3 in there. So you can put these into the little gaps to cover any gaps that you've got. And I'm just adding this little bunny from Amazon Papas to finish.